All right, if you're just tuning in, I'm Chrissy with the Read More, Write More radio show, and I'm excited that you're here. Thanks for catching up with me. This is going to be a live writing session, so go ahead and set aside an hour to work on your writing. My focus is nonfiction business writing. That's how I support my clients, and that's mainly the projects that I work on for myself. But the writing exercises that we're going to do today will be fine for anyone who's working on a writing project. Any writing is valid writing. So if you're working on, your latest fantasy novel, or if you're working on some blog posts, or even if you're working on client work, that's still exercising your writing muscle. So I want you to encourage yourself in that, and I want you to be proud of that. So go you. If you have been writing for a long time, or maybe not for very long, and you want to share what you're working on, then just let us know in the chat. And if you want to tell us how long you've been writing, then that would be cool information as well. I've been writing since 2012. I actually have a background in publishing, and so I used to do freelance writing while I was an editor for a publishing company. And so I've written a lot of things over the years, but over the past 5 years, I've focused more on business books specifically. So I read business books and I write business books, and it's pretty much my whole fun and work. I do watch TV because, sometimes. But most of the reading and writing that I do is related to either professional development or leadership or business. If you have any favorite authors, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you're into. And in just a few more minutes, we're going to be starting on the show. So we're almost there. All right. And if you're just tuning in and you don't know me personally, I live in Florida with my husband and our dog, and we've managed to miss most of the big storms lately, so thank goodness. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, and I actually have a YouTube channel as well. And the writing exercises that we're doing today are going to be timed. And so the timers that I created are available on my YouTube channel. So I'll post links to those in the chat. But if you're tuning in live, then we'll incorporate them organically. And so, yeah. All right, just a couple more minutes here. We want to make sure everyone gets in if they wanted to start with us. All right. So you probably don't even realize how much information you consume a day. If you are checking emails for like an hour, you're probably looking at least 200, 300 words per email. So that can add up to a couple thousand words that you've read even before lunch, depending on the complexity of your inbox and the way you communicate with your colleagues. I'm a visual learner, so I have to write everything down. I'm not really an auditory learner, so this is definitely new to me, hosting a radio show, because it's all auditory, and I'm glad to be challenging myself, and I'm glad that you're here for the journey. So it is right at 3 o'clock now, so we're going to dive right in. Hello, and welcome to the Read More, Write More radio show. I'm your host, Chrissy Doss, owner of Invisible Writer and the thriving business leader's best kept secret when you have a big idea that you want translated into a business book. I leverage my professional background in publishing and my high standards as an editor to help you finish writing your next business book. Today's episode is a live writing session. So if you have the full hour, I'd love to have you. As I mentioned, if you tuned in early, I'm going to be taking you through a series of writing exercises. And the first one is going to be setting our intention. So we're going to set our intention, and then we're going to have 3 writing timed sessions. And those sessions are going to be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and 15 minutes. And then we'll have a few minutes at the end for closing. So if you can stick around for the whole thing, that's awesome. If not, feel free to drop in and out. The chat is open. So if you have any questions in the middle of a writing session, go ahead and pop it in chat and I'll address it between the next session. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with setting our intention. So we're going to take about 5 minutes. This isn't timed, but it's just a guideline. We're going to take 5 minutes to set the intention for what we want to write today in our 1 hour session. So in an hour, you can probably expect to get maybe 300 or 400 words. This is dependent on a number of factors. So if you are if you're used to writing, maybe you'll get more. If it's your first writing session, maybe you'll get a little less. And so it's all a matter of just, doing your personal best. So if we have any runners, any marathoners, I know they just did the New York Marathon, but when you're training against yourself. And so you want to make sure that your personal best is just that, your personal best. And in running, which I have read more about than I have actually done, so let's be honest there. In running, you have a personal best, but every session isn't your personal best. Every race isn't your personal best. It's looking at the long game. And so I want you to take take a moment and decide what would your personal best look like today. If you haven't written for 30 minutes straight before, then focus on the 15-minute session and focus on staying focused. Yes, focus on staying focused. Focus on just being in the moment and in the creative idea. Let yourself really follow through on the thoughts that you're creating for that time. And I'm just going to pause for a minute and let you pop in the chat with any questions. If you're just tuning in, this is the Read More, Write More radio show, and we're gearing up for a live writing session. So right now we're setting our intention. So part of setting your intention, in addition to getting your goal for the day, is to also jot down a few bullet points. If you haven't outlined the section that you're planning to work on, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and outline the section. Go ahead and outline the section. So for a chapter in your book, that might look like going ahead and writing down the headings that you're going to use to guide the reader through the chapter. And maybe go ahead and also write down a couple of your main points. So your headings and your main points, so that when we go into the 15-minute writing chunk, then you can go ahead and start writing to that. And you're going to find over time that some of the sections are going to be easier to fill in than others. The whole point of writing for a specified amount of time is that you write for that whole time. This isn't a time to do research. This isn't a time to go back and edit what you've already written. This is really the best time to just move forward, because it's so much easier to go for completion rather than perfect. Because if you get stuck in the perfection analysis, like perfection paralysis, then you're not going to have anything on the page. And that's really disheartening, because then you get further behind. And if you have goals that you're setting for yourself, like, oh, I want to be published in 2023, well, my friend, you've got to finish your manuscript probably by March at the latest. So you want to get that ball rolling and gain some momentum. And so this month is NaNoWriMo. It's National Novel Writing Month. And a lot of people, there's a whole lot of people, hundreds and thousands of people are doing this sprint to write 50,000 words in 30 days. NaNoWriMo has been around forever. I did it in college. It was a lot of fun. I think it has a lot of benefits because, like, there's the community and they have a lot of support. But for business writing, it's not necessarily the best way to do it, because you want your writing to be enjoyable. You want the reader to settle in. You want them to be comfortable with you as a leader, and you want them to be comfortable with you as an expert. And so if you're writing from a place of scarcity, or if you're writing from a place of desperation, then that's going to come off in your writing. And that's a really scary place to be. And so, all right. Well, hopefully you have your outline done. And so we are going to go into our first 15-minute writing session. So I am going to share my screen. Okay, well, actually, just kidding. When you share your screen, you have to make sure to click share sound if you're sharing from Zoom. So, okay, share screen. We're sharing from 3. And if you have your outline done, you're going to go ahead and do your 15-minute writing session. Okay. And that is loading. One moment. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I hope you got some good writing done. Uh, if you got anything done, that's a win. But if you got, about 70, 75 to 100 words in 15 minutes, that would be really good. And so let me know in the chat if you feel comfortable sharing your word count. I'd love to know what you have. And while we're waiting for people to chime in, for the next section, we're actually going to work for 20 minutes. And when we work for 20 minutes, the difference between writing for 20 and writing for 15, you might be surprised by how much you can accomplish just by giving yourself those extra 5 minutes. Now, if you were watching the video, you notice that the numbers do count down. There's some gentle music, some gentle motion. I encourage you, if you're writing at home and you have control over your environment, that you make things as pleasant as possible, because it should be fun to write, and it should be fun to share your ideas with the world. And what you're wanting to do is create a safe environment and a safe space that allows you to really demonstrate what it is that you're trying to get across, to communicate your message. And again, if you come from a place of scarcity, or you come from a place of desperation, then your job suddenly becomes a lot harder, because you're just you're just writing to what sticks, rather than writing to what needs to be said. And I know that you will know when you've done a good job, because when you read it back to yourself, it's going to feel right. It's going to feel like authentic. And in business, you want to insert enough of your personality that you sound different enough. You have your differentiating factors, and you wouldn't want your business writing to be boring. So that's one misconception that a lot of people have, is that nonfiction means that it has to be dry. And that's just simply not true. There's plenty of books out there that are informative and engaging and amazing, and yours should be one of them. All right. So now that we've had time to catch our breath, let's go ahead and dive in for the 20 minutes. Okay, so I am going to share my screen again. Share my screen. All right. Hang on a second. Make sure I shared with all my other settings. Yep. Okay, that's fine. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. All right. So far during today's session, you've written for 35 minutes, so in totality, and that's good. That's good. We still have one 15-minute session left, but I wanted to take a quick break and let you all kind of reset on where you are in your chapter. So at the beginning of the session today, we started with setting an intention, and I want you to go back and reread your intention and look at your outline again for this chapter and see if everything is going kind of as planned, right? Are the headings that you identified, are there any that maybe you need something to bridge a gap, right? Maybe you did points A and C and you just completely forgot that, oh, there's another step here. And so that's a good opportunity to go back and just insert another heading. When you're doing these timed sessions, they don't necessarily have to be linear. So you don't have to start at the beginning of the chapter and continue on to the end. You can start on different sections, you can jump around. I encourage you, if you're jumping around, you want to stay like within 2 or 3 thoughts for a single segment, because the more bouncing around you do, the less momentum you're going to be able to build. And I want you to kind of keep track of how many words you wrote for your 15 minutes, how many words you wrote for your 20 minutes, because I think you'll find that it doesn't translate to like a 1-to-1, and it probably doesn't even translate to like a 1-to-2, honestly. So the amount that you can write in 15 minutes and the amount that you can write in 20 when you're on a roll, right? For 20 minutes, maybe you can write like 250 words. And for 15 minutes, you're like, oh, I can only write 75, right? But the point is to write the best words that you can in the moment, because you can always go back and edit. You can always go back and change it. Honestly, even after your book comes out, you can publish an updated version. You can do whatever you want to do. So things can change and things can evolve, and just continue to make the best decision for your like long-term goals, right? So if your business book is to launch a new service, or it's to celebrate, an upcoming business anniversary, then you want to make sure that the message is consistent throughout. So each of your chapters are as strong as the previous chapter. So in the final 15 minutes, oh man, we're gonna go over a little, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you finish up with the last 15 minutes. And you know what? We will be a little sneaky and do a 10-minute. We're gonna do a 10-minute. So to do a 10-minute, I will just start at a little later in the 15. So let's see. Share screen. 3. Go for 10. So we're just going to fast forward this a little bit. Hey guys, welcome back. I am on mute, so sorry. Okay, yeah, welcome back. I hope that you met your intention for today, for today's writing session. And if you tune in next week, we're going to have another writing session as well. So it'll be same time, same place, slightly different lengths of time, slightly different tips. But yeah, tune in to Read More, Write More. And if you want to tell your friends, it's really easy to get here. If you just go to readmorewritemore.com. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much. Bye.